Welcome to our timeline. The original 13 colonies of America were found on the eastern coast, what is now United States between the years of 1607 and 1733. Originally, the colonies belonged to the English, the Dutch, and the Swedish. By the time of the American Revolution, the colonies were under British control. The 13 colonies were divided into three regions: the New England Colony, the Middle Colony, and the Southern Colony. Each region was founded for a different reason and attacked a different group of people.
Virginia, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maryland, Connecticut, Rhode Island, North Carolina, South Carolina, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. These are the 13 colonies.
The New England colonies include Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Connecticut. The first permanent settlement was Plymouth Colony, established by Puritans who came to the New World on Mayflower in 1620. The Puritans were seeking to establish a world where they could practice their regional without persecution by the throne. Most early settlers established themselves in towns and villages along the coast, and because of the poor farmland, many settlers established businesses. The Middle colonies include Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. These colonies were created to be more tolerant to various religious beliefs, and the population grew to include a variety of backgrounds such as Italian, Germans, Dutch, French, Danes, Swedish, Norwegian, Poles, and Portuguese.
The southern colonies included Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. The southern colonies were dominated by a desire to make money in the new American marketplace, which led to the development of large plantations and agriculturally focused society. Much of the labor on the farms and plantations was done by slaves brought over from Africa. The Georgia colony was the last of the 13 to be established. It was meant to act as a barrier between the Spanish and Florida and South Carolina.
I'm King George III. By 1763, Britain had emerged from the turmoil of war on top as the highest colonial power. Although this victory was great, my government wasn't very stable and it was in major debt. As a result of this, I decided to raise the taxes on my American colonies. I also began taxing things such as tea, stamps, and paper. This outraged the colonies. They began writing letters to me expressing their disapproval of tax without their consent. Most of these letters I simply tossed aside or sent to the waste bin. Almost none of them are actually read by me.
Have you wondered how our money was long ago? Well, here it is. The Currency Act was a British law designed to control the colonial money system. The Currency Act prohibited the issue of any new bills to create and reissue of existing currency of the colonies. The Currency Act made us colonists mad. We couldn't make our own trades with money without the British taking a tax. This is one act or law that really upset us colonists.
The Stamp Act was passed by the British Parliament on March 22nd, 1765. The new tax was imposed on all American colonies to require them to pay a tax on every piece of printed paper they used.
Have you ever wondered why the colonists got angry at the British? Well, have you? Here's one of the reasons. One of the reasons why they're angry is because of the Tea Act. The Tea Act took place on May 10, 1773. The Parliament granted the British East India Company, which sold tea all over the British land. Prior to the Tea Act, the British East India Tea was required to exclusively sell tea at an auction in London. This required the British East India Company to pay a tax per pound of tea which sold, added to the company's final burdens. This is why the colonists planned for revenge in what we now know as the Boston Tea Party.
The Intolerable Act were 5 British laws that the colonists strongly objected. 4 of these laws were intended to punish the people of Massachusetts for destroying the tea that they threw into Boston Harbor in December 1773 and strengthened British authority in Massachusetts. The Intolerable Acts were passed by the British Parliament against the American colonies in 1774. The British passed these acts as a punishment for the Boston Tea Party.
On May 10, 1773, the Tea Act took place and was the beginning of what we call the Revolutionary War.
The Tea Act also led to what we now call the Boston Tea Party. What caused the Boston Tea Party? Well, in simplest terms, the Boston Tea Party happened because of taxation without representation, yet the cause is way more complex than that. The American colonists believed Britain was unfairly taxing them to pay for expenses during the French and Indian War. Additionally, colonists believed Parliament did not have the right to tax them because the American colonies were not represented in Parliament. So the colonists got together and dumped 342 chests of tea into the harbor. Take that, British! The Boston Tea Party took place on a cold Thursday night, 1773. According to eyewitness testimonies, the Boston rage was from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. approximately 3 hours. When the British found out what had happened, they reacted quick and harsh. This meant we had to go to war with Britain.
The Lexington Concord Battle took place in 1775. The battle was in Boston, Massachusetts. This battle was one of the first shots fired in the Revolutionary War. There were about 1,800 British troops and an unknown number of Continental troops. Paul Revere was famous for taking his midnight ride to the Continental Army that the British were coming.
The British are coming! The British are coming! The British are coming!
Paul Revere was born in 1734 and died on 1818 at the age of 83. The British were armed with muskets and bayonets. The Continental Army were armed with muskets, blunderbusses, and any weapons they could find. A blunderbuss is a muzzle-length firearm with a short, large caliber barrel which is flared at the muzzle, which is an early sign of a shotgun. But in the end, the British suffered an extensive loss, and the Americans considered the contest an encouraging start to the war.
The significant aspect of the Declaration of Independence is that it changed the American rebellion against Great Britain into a revolution. From April 19, 1775 until July 2, 1776, the war was being fought so the colonists could regain their rights as Englishmen that had been taken away by the British from 1763 through 1775. On July 2, 1776, the Second Continental Congress approved the resolution by Richard Henry Lee from Virginia that these united colonies are and right ought to be free and independent states, that they are resolved from all their allegiance to the British Crown, and that all connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved.
Although Thomas Jefferson is often called the author of the Declaration of Independence, he wasn't the only person who contributed important ideas. Jefferson was a member of a 5-person committee appointed by the Continental Congress to write the Declaration. The committee included Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Robert Livingston, and Roger Sherman. One of the most widely held misconceptions about the Declaration of Independence is that it was signed on July 4, 1776. In fact, independence was formally declared on July 2, 1776, a date that John Adams believed would be the most memorable moment in the history of America. On July 4, 1776, Congress approved the final text of the Declaration. It wasn't signed until August 2, 1776.
We think these things are obviously true, that all men are created equal, that all men have certain rights given to them by God, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. King George won't let us pass laws that we need for everybody's good. He won't, even when we do pass laws, he won't sign them so they can go into effect.
He calls men together to make laws in the most inconvenient times and places, so that they won't be able to discuss the new laws. He won't let us buy and sell things from wherever we want. We can only buy things from England.
King George sends lots of English soldiers here when there isn't even a war, and makes us let them live in our own houses. King George tells us these soldiers can do whatever they want and don't have to obey the law.
We asked King George to stop. He just keeps on doing more bad things. We have tried to talk to the other people who live in England. We asked them to stop these crimes against us, but they have acted as though they were deaf, so we have to separate from England, and they will be our enemies during the war, but we hope they'll be our friends when there is peace.
During the American Revolution, I, General George Washington, crossed the Delaware River with 5,400 troops, hoping to surprise a hastened force celebrating Christmas at their winter quarters in Trenton, New Jersey. The unconventional attack came after several months of substantial defeats for my army that resulted in the loss of New York City and other strategic points in the region. At about 11 p.m. on Christmas night, 1776, my army commenced its crossing of the half-frozen river at 3 locations. The 2,400 soldiers, led by me, successfully braved the icy and freezing river and reached the New Jersey side of the Delaware. Just before dawn, the other 2 divisions, made up of some 3,000 men and crucial artillery, failed to reach the meeting point at the appointed time. In conclusion, the victory was not particularly significant from a strategic point of view, but news of my initiative raised the spirits of the American colonists, who previously feared that the Continental Army was incapable of victory. As time went on, many battles took place and led to our victory. During the presidential election of 1789, I received a vote from every elector. I am the only president in American history to be unanimously approved.
Thank you.